chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. Yes, we are back. Episode 73 episodes of MinneZona Sports Live. We are very close to 100, but we got a little bit more in the tank here before we get there. Without further ado, though, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way from Aiken, Minnesota, in the Woods and Shore Studios, Paul Volt, the Shield. What's going on, Shield?
You know what? I'm just hoping the internet decides to hold out this week, and you know what? We're not going to be lagging as much as we were last week, but we'll see what happens. But you know what? The week that won't ever end has at least got this going for us here on this Wednesday.
We do, and obviously I've been knocking on wood. I've been trying to do everything in my power to make sure that we give you the full experience. All this BS that had happened last week, this is this week. I mean, MinneZona, we're bringing it to you, and it's going to be fantastic. We have tons to talk about. And obviously, Vikings training camp has started. We're talking about that, okay? We're talking about the Twins. They're doing a fire sale. Surprise, surprise. We're also talking about that, that Rodgers guy, the guy that, causing a lot of drama, him and that team out in Green Bay. Yeah, we're talking about that for ARA. And then also the North remembers. Voldy's idea, by the way, I might add, the TCF Bank Stadium Vikings. Now, that is going to be interesting. Give us some of your memories, best moments, things like that. We're going to give it to you after Tater Tot Hot Takes. So, Voldy, we better get it going because, these takes are pretty hot, and we got to get to them. So, let's get some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
Like Austin said, it's fresh and out of the oven. We are talking about the Vikings. There's been a lot of news this past week. We're starting off with something that we thought was. It took the sports world by storm for a little bit there. And Rick Dennison was believed to be quitting his job with the Vikings because he didn't want to be vaccinated. Now, the NFL has stated that Tier 1 personnel have to be vaccinated, and they're very adamant about that. Rick Dennison didn't want to do that. So now the Vikings are in the position of, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. So it's, if Rick Dennison doesn't want to get vaccinated, he has to go through, all the all this protocols and things like that. And so the NFL really didn't give him a choice to be like, he would probably have to follow like rules and stuff like that. But if you're not going to be vaccinated, they're basically saying, well, you can't coach. But the Vikings found a way. Later on, I think in the week, all of a sudden, Rick Dennison's back. But he's into the senior advisor role instead of the O-line coach, the head O-line coach. But he'll be able to do a lot of things virtually and stuff like that. So, Voldy and the Zoners, let me ask you. Obviously, the NFL is requiring them to be vaccinated, the Tier 1 guys to be vaccinated, and he didn't want to do that, which, I understand. It's your choice, things like that. But, it's if the NFL is requiring it, I think you should probably, in my opinion, you should do it. But then again, you're going to be missing out on guys like trying to, you can't have those coaching moments that you would on the field when you're around,
Right.
things like that. So, Voldy, at first we thought, well, this might hurt the Vikings offensive line, but really it's kind of back at, it's not that big of a deal. So what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
Well, I think it's very interesting overall. I mean, I don't see what the big issue is overall. Look, either you get the vaccine or you don't have a job. I mean, that's the way I kind of look at it from this perspective. Yes, you are entitled to your own opinion, and yes, there are certain things that you can look at with that as well. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of, obviously there are certain guidelines and rules that have gone into this, and I'm sure the NFL definitely knows that, not everybody's going to fall in line with this overall, but the opportunity is there. There is information out. Whether people believe it or not is completely up to them, and they think that everyone's trying to poison the government's trying to poison everybody with the vaccine. Look, if the government wanted trying to poison everybody, they would have put it in penicillin. We'd be dead hundreds of years ago at this point as well. But I'm seeing it as, look, if he's not going to be able to be out on the field, that's going to be interesting. I don't know how much of an impact he had, obviously with the O-line, a little bit with the run game too as well. That was a good focal point for the Vikings last year, especially with Dalvin and the numbers that he put up so far in his time with the Vikings too. The O-line is, the O-line for the Minnesota Vikings. It's ever flowing, ever fluid, and ever changing as well. It's just always very interesting to see how something that's not even completely related to the performance on the field has an impact on something that's happening on the field.
Right, and the thing is we have to realize too that we were getting close to the season. And getting very close to the beginning of the season, especially when in training camp's a key thing. Now, let's bring this up too, Voldy, is that you have a running back in Dalvin Cook who was fantastic last year, and obviously in the previous years and things like that. Dalvin Cook, the zone run blocking scheme that they like to run has been so effective. And again, Dennison's definitely contributed greatly to that. Now, the pass blocking, I feel, is still a little suspect. And you're going to be deficient in some areas of the game. And we get that. But with Darisaw hopefully starting up, obviously the first day, I believe Rashad Hill was starting at left tackle, which, it's fine for now. Darisaw wasn't practicing. I think he's still getting over an injury that he had in the previous, or in his college season. But it would have been a big blow. I feel like it would have been, because then again, they don't have that continuity, but Phil Rauscher is a good coach as well. So he's going to be in there. Obviously, Dennison isn't completely out of the Vikings organization. He's still around. He's going to be helping and, adding on to things. It's just he has to do everything pretty much virtually, which is, call it what you will. It can work to some extent, but I feel like there's nothing better than when a coach is on the field instead of, do this, and this. But again, that's why they put him in the advisor role. They put Rauscher in the offensive line coach mode. And obviously, they're going to do this. They're going to have the same scheme. That's what's going to happen. They'll adjust. I'm not super worried about it, but I was a little bit when he kind of was like, I'm a head out type of thing. So I think we're looking at this and saying, okay, he's back. I don't think we have to panic much after this. So anyway, let's get to the zoners. Ethan says, Steve CF Bank Stadium Viking. Met Alan Page on a plane, got his autograph. Ethan, peace, Alan Page. He was genuine and kind. He is. He's a great guy. He's absolutely Alan Page, the Purple People Eaters, but Justice Page, I believe. I think that's his official title since he works a lot at the Capitol and whatnot. So he's Alan Page. Fantastic. Dennison, get rid of the caveman. Everyone is replaceable. There you go. There you go. Easy A, they also think the government is putting in a chip in people by getting the vaccine. There's so many theories out there. I mean, I'll say this. I was vaccinated. I'm feeling fine. Obviously, well, if I'm growing a third arm, I'll let you know. But anyway, again, I understand it's your choice, but that's what the NFL's requiring. That's how it is, and you're just going to have to deal with it. And a lot of these players now are finally taking there's like 85% of players I believe that have gotten one dose of the vaccine. So we're trending in a good direction on that. All right, enough about that. Let's move on to the signing of Dede Westbrook. Now, we won't spend too much time on this, but Voldy, you and I have been talking about this a lot, that the Vikings kind of need that third wide receiver. And yes. I think with Dede Westbrook, especially with him being very close with Keenan McCardell, who's the wide receivers coach, we need a good punt returner and, maybe even in the kicking game as well, the kick return game as well. So, Voldy, your thoughts on the Vikings finally getting Dede Westbrook?
Well, let's just hope we don't have a whole another Tajay Sharp situation where he's out there for one game, and then you literally don't hear anything from him until the point where he got released. Mm-hmm. I certainly hope this will be a career revitalization for him, having somebody that he's worked with, and Keenan McCardell, that will certainly help, especially coaching-wise. Let's just hope the other wide receivers are able to fall in line or at least be able to pick something up from a guy who put up some big numbers in his career, especially with Jacksonville and with their inception in the league too. I think this will be a great benefit for Dede Westbrook, especially that he's going to a new team, but at least there's somebody with him that's going to be able to, he's worked with in the past, to make him feel comfortable with a new team and obviously a new system as well. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. And honestly, he's coming off an injury, but they said I wouldn't read. A lot of people kind of read into this a lot, but he caught all his passes when he worked out and everything like that, and they said he looks really good. So having him on the roster is perfect. I think in the punt return game especially, because that was atrocious. The kick return game was atrocious. Obviously the kickoff team too sometimes. The whole Cordero, running it back on us, which why did we let that happen?
Yep.
But hashtag fear the dreads, as you like to say, Voldy.
Yes, sir.
But Dede Westbrook, I really liked out of college, especially. I think he was a former Sooner. And he was very good at Oklahoma. He had a pretty good career in Jacksonville. They had when they had Ramsey and that defense, Calais Campbell. The whole slew of guys on that Jaguars team, and he was able to excel even with Blake Bortles. So there's that.
Exactly.
But he's coming off an injury. Let's hope that he can kind of be the complement to the Thielen, to Jefferson, and it's just another added weapon. And if you look at also another guy Amir Marset. That guy, watch out. I believe, from what I've seen on the Twitter sphere, that especially Kellen Mond had a nice touchdown pass to Amir Marset. So, hey, things are looking good from a wide receiver standpoint, and then the backup, obviously, with Kellen Mond. So let's keep the progression going. A lot of Vikings fans will be looking at Kellen Mond and whatnot, but we're focused on, the task at hand. So I think the Westbrook signing was huge, and I think he's gonna. I don't think it'll be a Tajay Sharp situation. I really hope not, but I think with the relationship that he has with McCardell trusts him, so I'm not too worried about it. But anyway, Voldy, let's kind of get into a little bit of the training camp.
Do it.
There's a lot of depth at a certain position. Obviously, defensive back. I'm telling you what, Patrick Peterson is really amped up. He is ready to play for the purple and gold. just kind of looking at, the secondary and what they've been able to add. We talked about the defense on numerous occasions, but again, it's looking like this defense looks different, but in a good way. I mean, in a good way, very good way. So Voldy, we talk a lot about the D-backs. Obviously, there's other factors too. Like it's pretty. There's a lot of depth. But again, the whole Gladney situation, which I kind of want to get into too. But besides kind of the D-back group with the depth, I mean, what kind of other positions are you looking at with the depth that we have? I mean, defensive line, offensive line. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the defensive line is certainly going to be an interesting spot as well, because obviously Michael Pierce, obviously sitting out last season, but also with the injury going on as well. Who's going to be the next guy or two to maybe fill in a spot where there's going to be some extra downs to be taken, or if it's going to be a rotating situation overall as well, because that's certainly one area that the Vikings have been lacking in a couple of years as well, ever since that NFC Championship game run that they did make too. I think it's certainly going to be very interesting to see how they can reestablish that line of scrimmage, because I know that definitely last year was a year that they just got beat out of the blocks, a whole lot of times, and it was not pretty to watch. And that's why, unfortunately, some of those games ended up being high-scoring affairs too. Plus the fact they had no experience on the defensive backside too, and that certainly did not help in a lot of areas.
Right, and looking at Seymour, I showed this before, but Seymour, Zimmer has a ton of depth at defensive back. Who would have thought? Last year really wasn't the case. But at the same time, it doesn't surprise me because Zim wants to get that fixed. Patrick Peterson, we bring back Mackenzie Alexander, but Shad Breland, I think, was a big signing. Cam Dantzler, Gladney, we'll see. I don't want to make any assumptions or anything like that at this point. But we're also looking at Harrison Hand, who I think is very underrated. Very underrated. So keep an eye out for him. There's some other guys like Amari Henderson who has a lot of promise too. Maybe he can develop into something. I don't know. But you look at that, but I'm looking at the wide receiver group, and the wide receiver group I feel like can be really deep. And the reason why I say that is because obviously you have the two studs, but Dede I think is going to add an element that Seymour also put out too. Is he's got speed, and the thing is coming off an injury, is he going to have that that same torque that he had when he was healthy? So there's that to put into perspective too. Now, a lot of these young guys I could really see coming into their. I mentioned Marset. I think he can be, and BB. BB's serviceable at times. I think he'll. The thing is I think he makes a lot of big catches. And I think he's a guy that is going to give you his all, and I think that's what we want. And I think Chad Beebe will definitely be serviceable for the Vikings to what extent, no clue. Now, obviously, when you got 33 in the backfield, I mean that helps too. So, for me, I think it's just kind of the wide receivers. I think they can really come into their own, have the core that they'll have. I think is going to be. Really, really good, especially with Keenan McCardell being the wide receivers coach and helping out in that, helping out with everything, especially when you have two studs with Thielen and Jefferson. Now, so it's going to kind of come down to how the defense is going to look. Kendricks coming off injury, Barr coming off injury. But I'm not too worried about Kendricks or Barr, and Barr. This could be Barr's last year as a Viking too, so that's something to think about as well. So, and then obviously, I think one other thing that I want to bring up too is Kellen Mond. I mean, there's a lot of optimism about Kellen Mond. Now, Voldy, I feel like there's very little chance that he's going to, all of a sudden take over Kirk. That's not going to happen. I don't think that will happen at all. But let's just see some flashes of brilliance. And if he really lights it up in the preseason, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to maybe with this. Maybe the Vikings are like, well, shoot, maybe after the season down the road here, we got a guy. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts on how Kellen Mond will progress here, this training camp, and then into the preseason?
This is going to be his first training camp. There's going to be a lot of gawk factor, I would certainly say. There's going to be a lot of big eyes. I think, this is going to be a learning experience. I don't expect a whole lot out of him to start off, but then again, I'm not the one that's making decisions on how much he's going to see, especially with only 3 preseason games and then whatever backup reps he's going to be. Is he going to be the number 2 guy? Is he going to be, a third guy that's going to be hanging out and, holding the clipboard and, listening on the headset to get, key pointers and everything. But I think this is more of it's got to be a learning year for him because if he's going to be going in right away in an emergency or a backup situation, I hate to say it's not going to be pretty, but it's definitely not going to not be pretty, I'll say.
Right. And I think there's going to be some growing pains too. I really do. I mean, he's definitely a developmental quarterback here. And, he's a young guy. And obviously, Kirk has been great for the Vikings. I mean, look at the stats. Now, we can bring up this Monday night thing, and, because Kirk Cousins doesn't do all of that. Just look at what he's done. He's lived up to a lot of things here. Now, it's not all just Kirk, all right? And we've said this numerous times. But don't always point the finger at Kirk. This is a team game now, too. But you can't always say, well, it's Kirk's fault that we didn't win that game. Well, sometimes there's a blown assignment by a cornerback. There's missed tackles, things like that. So don't get on Kirk for that. So I look at this training camp and I look at another guy like Danielle Hunter. I think he had a great first practice from what I've been hearing, so I'm feeling good about that. So he's ready to go. That's good news. We got Danielle. Now, who's going to be on the other side of Danielle? There's been a lot of talk. Justin Houston. Now Chandler Jones.
Okay.
But that's going to be tough. That I don't know. I don't want to. They're going to have to move some pieces if they're going to sign him.
That'd be a hot pickup, I'll tell you that.
It would be, and I'd be
Super Bowl
like,
champ.
Oh my God, yeah, exactly. Where's the special teams talk? I already talked about the special teams, but the special teams I think is very. They got to figure that out because Maloof, he was not good. He was terrible. So I think you got to look at it's got to be Dede. KJ Osborne, apparently he had a good offseason, so let's not fumble the football, things like that for him. So that's another thing to think about with the special teams. And, I think they just got to have the right coaching, the right personnel on their team. On the team. Now, kicking-wise, that's a different story. No Dan Bailey. You have Joseph now, so that's another thing to look at too is, kickers. So, but anyway, we're going to keep keep you guys informed with everything Vikings and whatnot during this training camp. And obviously everyone's looking healthy, with Pierce. He did some individual stuff today, so that's nice. It's not like he's completely out or anything like that. He's moving around, so that's good news. So, but anyway, we'll keep you in tune with that. Let's move on to a team that's really has been a dumpster fire. The Minnesota Twins. They lost today, 17-14. 17-14, and it's Voldy coughing a lot tonight. Allergies kicking in. Yeah. I think it's.
I'd have a legit excuse like the Twins. They just suck, though.
Yeah,
so.
there you go. There you go. So, anyway, Voldy, Nelly's gone.
Yep.
That hurts. I really liked the way he kind of gave it his all, but there's a lot with Michael Pineda. Pineda is it might be traded here. The Buxton talks aren't going well, as in getting him an extension. Barrios. Then there's Barrios. He doesn't want to be a Twin. So Voldy, out of let's say Barrios, Pineda, and Buxton. Who do you think? Or I'm going to add Donaldson because I know Donaldson's been talked about too. Out of the four, who's most likely to get traded before the deadline?
Ooh. I would probably say most likely to get. Man, I would probably say either Barrios or probably Pineda. Honestly,
Okay.
I think. I don't know. There's something about Pineda that he could definitely be a good third guy in the rotation for a team that's looking for a little bit of depth as well. Barrios is going to go in. He's going to be either 1 or 2 on a team that's looking to maybe make a push here in the second half. I think it's just interesting to see how much of a factor that's going to be too, because it's definitely one thing that going into the second half of the season here, especially after the trade deadline, there's going to be a lot of teams out there that need pitching, especially the fact that a lot of guys that we're already well past the fact that at this point last season, we were probably just getting started with the season, and guys already doubled up how many that they've had in starts that they had from last season to this year. So getting them stretched out is definitely going to be something where there's going to be more guys that need maybe an extra day of rest, or they're going to be pitching a lot more on a lot less days of rest because of the fact that maybe their team is looking to get a wild card spot.
Right, and Seymour has kind of been on the money here. Buxton needs to show he can stay healthy for one season before dumping big bucks on him. Now the Twins have to realize is when he is healthy, he's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Now I have the same concern with Buxton, but I just feel like he wants to be here. So I feel like we need to keep him here. And let's remember, too, there's no salary cap in baseball. Polads, this one, you can take care of this. It's fine. You're worth billions of dollars. Just spend some money. Please, just do it. Anyway, but like Seymour,
can someone honestly tell me what the Polads did to be rich in the first place?
Right.
Like, what do they own? What, do they have a company or something? Like, seriously, I don't know what they did to be rich and buy the Twins in the first place. Can someone tell me?
Why
honestly,
do they even own the team anymore? Why do they don't even care? They don't even care. But that's a whole nother conversation.
They had to start somewhere. Do they own like Sears or something?
Yeah, it's one of those big ones.
I have no idea.
I think a bunch of jewelry stores too they own. And
Pete's sake, just shell out some money.
No kidding. Stuffage says Pineda, Simmons gone. Happ will be released sometime in August. Happ was
interesting. Yeah, it was interesting.
Colomé has been awful. They might even trade Rodgers, Taylor Rodgers.
Yeah, probably.
It's going to be a fire sale, and there's another thing too is that why. It's like, well, why? How did we get to this point, right? You had a lot of momentum. Obviously, the disappointment in losing in the wild card against the Astros is what started this. Now, there's been a lot of boneheaded decisions that Baldelli's made, and I just think that this whole sabermetrics analytics thing has been the end of them. And that's what has been bad. And yeah, you can blame injuries, you can do, but in all honesty, this team was supposed to be very good. And they did everything, the GMs tried to do everything to get them to that point. But the coaching, I feel, has failed them. And obviously the one thing that we all talk about is them not wanting to spend money. Donaldson being in and out of the lineup, too, I think has hurt. They just don't want to... they don't want to spend money, and that's the issue with that. But when you have a lot of optimism and all this talent coming into this season, and you're not able to put it all together, this is what happens. This is exactly what happens. Now, the fact that they don't want to do what they're supposed to do, then it just shows that, you can't rely on any of these guys. So, but anyway, there's been a lot of comments. Let's get to them, Voldy. Rodgers going on the IL stopped those talks. Yes, I did forget about that. So
I'll trade for a hurt guy.
Yeah, there you go. Don't know Buxton is worth what he wants or what the market will pay. We have enough other outfielders that are up and coming. Trade him and get some more prospects. If that's what it comes down to, Jimbo, I'd be fine with that too. I mean, in all honesty, I'm just getting kind of sick of it. Polads equals Midwest Federal Savings and Loan made their fortune on foreclosing on farms in the Great Depression. Now,
real American staple right there.
So there's that. There's that.
Thank you, Ethan.
Yeah, we got that going. The season ended when Oakland walked off on Column A. Yeah,
yep.
There's more to that as well. Especially the Brewers too. I mean, the opening series, he blew that one too. He was also Marquette Bank and eventually First Bank Systems, which turned into U.S. Bank. Okay.
Oh, so there you go. How about that?
The more you know. The more you know. But I still don't like the poll ads. I still think that they're greedy. They hold on to their money, and hence why the Twins struggle now. So Cruz is gone. There's going to be more guys gone now too, Voldy. So I think you're right. Yep. I think it's Donaldson.
Donaldson's an interesting piece because it's not exactly like he's the defensive stalwart he was like 5 years ago. Like, he's a guy that carries a reputation with him in a lineup. Maybe it's a change of venue that will do him, like when he went to Atlanta, he was comeback player of the year 2 years ago. And, he did pretty well. He put up a pretty good season with them after in 2015, where he won the AL MVP as a two-hitter in a lineup that was just stacked from, 1 through 9. He was the 2 guy in the order, ended up winning MVP over Edwin Encarnacion, Jose Bautista on that team as well back in 2015 with the Blue Jays. But you know what? I would definitely see, wouldn't be surprised if Donaldson left, but, Donaldson, that type of player is definitely one that you want to have with Minnesota because of the fact that he provides that grit and a little bit of a player that you love playing with, but you hate playing against.
He's got that attitude, and I feel like the Twins needed a little bit of that too. So, but I feel like they might because like we were saying, get prospects, get something that's gonna get something out of it, and I think that's what they're going to do. But we'll see. I mean, there's still a lot of time before they get to the deadline here, so I'm sure they've been having talks. Met says, do the Twins need to build a new stadium to compete again? I think they need the Metrodome back. I think that's what they need. No.
Yes.
I think it's
Bank Stadium. Yeah. Here we go.
There you go.
All the seats go back to blue, and then switch to purple for football season. Boom.
Oh gosh.
I don't understand why they haven't played a game yet at U.S. Bank Stadium to throw it back to the good old days.
Well, the Gophers played.
Gophers play there. Southwest plays there every now and then, as well. I don't see why not.
Yeah,
it's an easy sell,
and I think Easy A is bringing. You're saying here, like Voldy said, the Twins signed people that were great 5 years ago. So
count them up.
Count them up. Polad is also a controlling interest today in Pepsi. Wow, nice. But you see, they own a lot of this, but they don't want to spend it. They don't want to spend it on their damn team. They don't want to spend it. Oh.
There's a good old country song that goes, I've never seen a hearse with a trailer hitch. I'm just saying, everybody want to die rich. Yeah. I've never seen a hearse with a trailer hitch.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Throw it out there.
That's true. Throw it out there. See if it sticks, right? All right. Anyway, let's move on to the North Remembers. And this week, we're talking about the TCF Bank Vikings now. It's from 2014 to obviously if you're looking at seasons of 2014, season 2015, but they did play in 2016, and that was the game, the Walsh game. But anyway, we'll get to that. We're going to talk about some of the big moments, and obviously they did play briefly in 2010 after that dome incident, as we can see here, them playing at TCF. It's fantastic. It's the North remembers. Need a tissue, Matt. What? Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what you mean. Well, I think we all need a tissue as Vikings fans, losing that game. We already talked about it on the North remembers. We talked about that game. Let's not get into it. But anyway, let's get it rolling with the North remembers, because winter is coming.
These are the moments enshrined in Minnesota sports history. The North remembers.
All right, it's been a while since we've done the North remembers, Voldy, and obviously, like I said, we're talking about the TCF Bank Vikings. And these memories, there's a lot of good memories, but there's a lot of bad memories with this. Yeah. So, let's start off with just the single game. Obviously, the Vikings, the 2010 season, unfinished business, all that stuff, and obviously that didn't turn out the way we wanted. Favre actually comes back this game against the Chicago Bears, and that was I think that was Favre's last game. It didn't go well. It absolutely didn't go well. The Bears throttled the Vikings. And it was cold that day. We thought Favre was going to light a fire, but no, Favre was carried off TCF Bank Stadium. Carried out of TCF Bank Stadium after his injury, and that was the end of that. But, that was the first outdoor game in 29 years, Voldy. 29 years. And obviously it took a dome to collapse and whatnot. And they had to play in Detroit, too. As well, and then they had to move a game to two, or I think the Eagles. They played the Eagles or something. They had to move that.
But
to
Giants.
Tuesday. Giants.
Supposed to go to that game.
Yeah,
it's my birthday present. I was supposed to go to that game.
Damn it.
Collapses. WTH.
What the hell? Now, so they had that game, but let's get into them being there for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So. Obviously, there's a lot of names. I want to bring up some names to you, Voldy, before we get into some, key memories from the TCF Bank Vikings. Let's see if the zoners remember some of these names. Now, a lot of these names are very, familiar too. Obviously, Teddy B, AP.
Phenom.
Yep. Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace. Jarius Wright. Everyone remember Jarius Wright? He had that walk-off against the Jets now at TCF. Yep. That was awesome. B-Rob was there, too.
Underrated.
Everson Griffin, and even Stephon Diggs. That was one of his first year.
Yep. Stephon Diggs.
Captain Munnerlyn. Now, this was a big that was a big signing when the Vikings got him, but obviously I don't think it worked very well with Captain Munnerlyn. But Gerald Hodges, do we remember Gerald Hodges? He was a linebacker. I thought he was going to be and he had some moments. And then I think Marty liked to potty hottie, Michael Marty. Adi Cole, those guys too. So we got a lot of names that we love. Two running backs now too. Jerick McKinnon, and obviously we love the Jet. He had some really good games for the Vikings at TCF. Matt Asiata. Now that was a running back, man. He was great. I wonder what he's doing now. I liked Asiata, and he was good for fantasy. I think he had like 3 touchdowns one time, it really helped, my fantasy football team. All right, Voldy. Matt Castle, your guy. Castle.
My dude.
Castle. Throwing bombs and, the other thing we should probably say.
What?
You know it. You know how it goes.
You know.
If you know, you know. And Easy A says, is McKinnon going to play football again? I don't know. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries, but I hope so. I really do. And I feel like he's had a lot of bad luck. I can tell you that much. Chase Ford. When Rudy was hurt a little bit, Chase Ford comes in. Teddy had a nice little connection with Chase Ford a couple times. Greg Jennings. Remember Greg? I still have the Greg Jennings jersey I bought. So there's that. Charles Johnson, another name that had his good games with the Vikings too. I might add.
He did.
Now here's one. Do you remember Joe Banyard?
Briefly.
The barn.
Remember
Yeah.
Robert Blanton?
Yeah, Robert Blanton. Yep, another name too. I mean, all those guys were people that I just they were on the Vikings when they were at TCF. So there's a lot of carryover with some of these guys, and some of them didn't get to be at US Bank Stadium and whatnot.
Probably a good reason why.
Yeah, exactly. AP was able to be at US Bank for a little bit, but yeah, the TCF Bank, just a couple names that you guys probably couldn't remember. But another good moment too is Zimmer's first home win was September 28th, 2014, and Teddy B's first start, baby. Teddy B. They're taking on the Falcons too, and that was a good game. I remember that game. And Teddy set franchise records in passing yards, 317, pass rating 98.9, 19 completions. And they had a comeback victory. They were down 28-27. Teddy B leads them back, so there's that. Oh, and here's the 3-touchdown game. Matt Asiata comeback win over the not anymore the Washington Redskins, now Washington football team. But Asiata, 3 touchdowns, November 2nd, 2014. How about the game that they had a pair of touchdowns blocked punt returns? And guess who had one of those touchdowns, Voldy?
Some Division II scrub special teamer, nobody guy
from Minnesota State. Yeah, from Minnesota State. Adam Thielen, we're talking about. So
I think
Thielen
he ended up making the team for a little bit. Had a couple cups of coffee, a couple nice moments, but I never really mentioned much after that.
Yeah, that was the start of everyone. I mean, obviously him being undrafted and being on the team and whatnot.
Right.
But this, I think, was the spark that had him going. Exactly, Voldy. So there's that. But then also after that, he had the franchise record in the block punt return. In the second quarter, Jasper Brinkley, another name that we know, blocked.
Another guy who was my dude. I love Jasper Brinkley.
The Brink. Blocked a second punt, and then no one other than Everson Griffin picks it up. Turns it 43 yards against the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
Fantastic. And that game, it was only 12 degrees that day. Minus 7 wind chill. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if he's tuned in right now, the Kerf Doctor was at that game, I believe. So he can kind of tell you all about that. Now, here's the December 7th, 2014. Jarius Wright delivers a Vikings OT win. Teddy B throws I think it was a screen pass, and then he's taking it to the house against the Jets, against Geno Smith and the Jets. But hey, we'll take it. Obviously, a guy that we know pretty well, Chad Greenway, 91-yard pick six for the Vikings.
Wait, the vodka guy did play football
that guy.
for the Vikings?
Yeah, he did. I didn't know that. Yeah,
that was just a coincidence.
Yeah, how is that working? But they played San Diego, 91-yard pick six, and he had like a purple entourage taking him to the end zone.
Yeah,
we remember that one. And there's the one against the Rams where Blair Walsh actually hit a field goal to win the game. Sorry for the cheap shot, Blair, but so that game that was a great game too. Teddy with 4 passing touchdowns, December 20th, 2015 against the Bears. It's they killed the Bears that day, 38-17. First sweep of the Chicago since like 2007. And we still kind of have issues. But anyway, then obviously the last one we got here is December 27th, 2015. Vikings clinch first playoff berth since 2012. So, Voldy, since I brought a lot of these up, what's kind of your favorite TCF Bank Vikings moment? What do you got for us?
Well, I think out of the whole list, it's either going to be the Chad Greenway interception, because I just remember that and think it's like he's going to fall over sooner or later with like 4 of his teammates around him. He's going to fall over about the 30-yard line, and it's like he's still going.
Yeah,
like go Chad.
Yeah,
go. And then also that Rams game we were talking about, winning it against at that time they were still in St. Louis, I think, at that point. And because the fact that we had the Wired moment, or where Mike Zimmer was all mic'd up, and that's where he got some of the best mic'd up moments, was that game as well. I mean, it is fantastic what Mike Zimmer can put together for sound bites, and that's kind of the ones that sticks out to me. And I mean, honestly, I never had the true full experience of a Vikings game at TCF Bank. I did go to a preseason game against the Raiders, I think it was 2014, I think it was.
Well,
whatever.
Shoot, I think I was at that one.
Probably, I don't know. 2014 against Raiders. It was the return of Christian Ponder. That's why I remember that especially as well. But
okay, I wasn't there. That's
I think it was. I think it was at that point. But I don't know. Other than that, I mean, those are the ones that stick out the most in my mind.
The one that, man, there are a lot. Like, I feel like there's just a lot of underrated ones. I mean, Teddy's touchdowns against the Bears, I remember quite well. They're on the play. I mean, they're in the playoff hunt. They obviously got the wild card. They get a home game against Seattle, obviously. We know how that went and whatnot, but we don't want to bring that up. So there's that one. Obviously, the 91-yard pick six. Maybe if our guy Chad Greenway, join us on the show or something, he can talk about it with us. But there's that one. And Teddy's first start, I think, is another big one. And I think even playing the game, obviously they lost Monday night against the Bears in 2010. But I just thought it was snowing. It was kind of a cool moment and everything like that. But
he had the throwback uniforms. It was Joe Webb running everywhere. Yeah. Devin Hester takes one back to the house too for the Bears. I mean, it was just it was a recipe for disaster for everybody.
Well, Devin Hester did that to every team too. But at the same time, why even kick to him? Kick it out of bounds. That's all I got to say. But I'd probably go with Teddy's Jarius's OT win. I like that one because that was pretty sweet. Yes, it was the Jets. We probably should have killed them, but like at the same time too, it's nice to know that there's been some great moments, and TCF was very kind to the Vikings. Absolutely fantastic, and obviously we lose our last game at TCF.
Of course.
But it was the coldest day ever recorded or something like that. Was it colder than the Ice Bowl, or maybe it was just under that a little bit?
No. Ice Bowl was cold.
Yeah, Ice Bowl was super, super cold.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's Bud Grant walking out with just a polo on. He's like,
just a polo.
It's just a mentality. You just got to have that tough mentality. So,
Bud.
Adrian Peterson had some great games at TCF. And then also when they played the Giants Monday night, remember that game? Harrison Smith pick six against your sad face Eli, and we smashed them. I think it was like 42-17.
Shellacking
we shellacked
is
them.
what it was.
It was a shellacking, exactly. And it was cold that night too. So again, outdoor football, and the Vikings played well, and that's all we got to say. So there's so many great moments with that. This was a great North Remembers Voldy, and this one was a great idea. And I think with having with having the Vikings play there for 2 years, and there are a lot of successes, but obviously it didn't end the way we wanted it to. But we move on, right? So it's time to get to ARA, Voldy, because we got some things to talk. We're talking Wild. We're talking about the schedule that dropped. We're talking about that. Excuse me. That Rodgers, that guy. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. I got thoughts on that. Mets, you better be ready because I got some thoughts on that. Voldy's got some thoughts on that. So let's get it going with some Absurd or Approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, Voldy, it's time for Absurd or Approved. So why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, the NHL is going to go full bore with a regular season that is going to be 82 games for the 2021-22 season, 41 home games, 41 road games as well. And the Minnesota Wild do also make the return to the Central Division for this year. Not an extravagant amount of 9 o'clock puck drop times, especially for the likes of those that actually want to stay up and watch some of those games too. But the Minnesota Wild do open up their season Tuesday, October 19th at home when they take on the Winnipeg Jets, which will be a fantastic home opener.
Sure.
They actually open up on the 15th in October, which will be a Friday in Anaheim. For the 7th straight year, the Wild open up the season on the road as well. I don't get it. It's like every time the Vikings want to go play Seattle, they got to play in Seattle. It's just dumbfounding. But some highlights of the season do include, obviously, the Wild being the host for the 2022 NHL Winter Classic, Saturday, January 1st, at Target Field against the St. Louis Blues in the home of the Minnesota Twins, that being. But also the return of going to the Central Division. Also see some of those great matchups, obviously, with the Blues. Then you throw in the likes of Winnipeg, Nashville, Dallas, Colorado, and Chicago, with a couple of games mixed in with the likes of Arizona in there as well. Now, is it absurd or approved? The Wild will be able to benefit with being back in the Central Division as opposed to last season in the Western Division.
I really think they're going to have some more success. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Wild didn't play Chicago this year, did they?
No, they did not.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, obviously with that, right? I mean, people want to say it's a one-sided rivalry. You know who you are, who's ever watching. No, but anyway, I think it's gonna be a little bit better. And obviously, you had Chicago, Dallas, Winnipeg, like you mentioned too. I think that's gonna be really fun. Another matchup that I'm looking forward to is them taking on the Golden Knights.
Yep.
And I think that's a new founded rivalry, and I think that the Wild want some retribution for losing to them. And they came back, too, when they were down in that series. But I think it's going to work out better for them. They're taking on teams that they know, that they kind of know what they're getting into with Winnipeg. Nashville, I believe, is going to have a little bit of a down year. They're kind of rebuilding. Colorado is obviously going to be fantastic again this year. But I want to see the Kraken now, too. I want to see them play the Kraken. I think that's going to be fun. They'll take them on first ever matchup Thursday, October 28th. So that'll be fun at the XL. I think you're going to have a lot of guys there. And then obviously the Winter Classic against the Blues. And the Wild have had, I feel like, more failures than successes against the Blues. But I think it'll be fun to watch them in the Winter Classic nonetheless. I think they'll perform really well. It's just, playing the Blues is kind of another thing. But, I think they will. It's got my stamp of approval. I think they'll be successful. Now, let's sign Kirill. Dollar Bill Kirill. We need to sign Dollar Bill Kirill. All right. Wild equals small market club. It's a Bettman thing. He hates small markets. Well, if Vegas wasn't to sign, and then now Seattle, it would make sense, right? That theory is not off at all. The Central Division is tougher. West Coast has Arizona, LA, San Jose, weaker than St. Louis and Colorado. And, hence why, that's why I'm mentioning, Nashville and whatnot. And Coyotes are obviously the Coyotes, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. The Wild have had a lot of success.
At where the Stanley Cup final has been the last handful of years. Teams that have been coming out of the Central Division, and also in the Eastern Conference, teams that have been coming out have been like the likes of Boston, have been Tampa Bay as well. I believe they're in either the Atlantic or maybe the Metropolitan. It's one of those two right there. I think the Bruins are in the Metropolitan, and then the Atlantic for the likes of Tampa Bay. But yeah, I mean, the Central Division is stacked top to bottom. Yeah.
The Wild finally don't have to face Crawford, but we're stuck playing against Fleury in Chicago.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. But we'll see what happens. And again, there's a lot of time in between. So, but yeah, stamp of approval, Voldy. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge stamp of approval. Obviously, if the Wild want to be in a position to make any sort of movement as a team, and especially if they do get their best player back in Kirill Kaprizov, I mean, they're going to have to face some of the best teams out there. I mean, Colorado's no slouch anymore. Chicago is in a transition phase right now with the old and the new as well. Nashville is kind of an up-and-down team. Winnipeg's a scrappy team as well. Always like those matchups, especially with Winnipeg fans coming down to the XL Energy Center. That's always a good time. Dallas is a bit of a scrappy team, too. Ryan Suter just signing with the Stars here today. That'll certainly be interesting. It's definitely got my stamp of approval just because you see a lot of those familiar matchups that will definitely be of a great benefit for the Wild this year.
Yeah, and, another thing to make note of, and I think, this has kind of been brought up too. No final agreement or decision has been made to this point regarding the possible participation of NHL players in the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. Talks remain ongoing. To what end? We don't know. I mean, I don't know unless someone.
But they
else
have the winter break in there. They've got the Olympic break.
They do.
Scheduled.
Yeah.
So
what are we doing?
Are we
right? What are we doing here? Come on now. It's February 6th through the 19th, if that's how they're going to do it. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So I think this season's going to be different without Parise, Suter, and whatnot. But like we said, dollar bill Krill. Get it done, Guerin. Fiala. Him too. Added some more depth at the defenseman spot, so we'll see. Before we move on, though, because the next thing is going to take up some time, I think, our next topic. The buyout of Suter and Parise helps, but it depends on what they do with that cap space. Right, and, the next 4 years, there's going to be some – I think Guerin knew that going in, and I think he's been saying that, but – I feel like they have a plan. They're going to work around it. So, and if they don't, well, then that's not good news for us. All right, next one, Voldy.
Right now, it finally happened. It is going to be that Aaron Rodgers made his triumphant return to the Green Bay Packers to open up training camp as of Tuesday. Obviously, there was a lot of, things that happened this offseason that weren't exactly the favor of mostly the Green Bay Packers and their front office. But the situation is ever-changing, it seems to be, with each day that goes by. But Aaron Rodgers showed up to training camp day number 1, sporting very interesting sunglasses and a very interesting office shirt as well. But lo and behold, he's there. He's in camp, and he participated and has been participating and does have that contract in place that will take him through the rest of this season for sure. But it does include a void of his final year, which would be coming up in 2023. So could quite possibly be a last dance situation for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Is it absurd or proof? Is this the last hurrah for Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers?
Oh, some people have been waiting on this topic for a little bit because there's been a lot of breaking news, and obviously with the press conference that Rodgers had. With Rodgers, like the question you asked, Voldy, is I'm not saying a lot of things can happen. Now, with Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, the whole last dance thing, but Rodgers doesn't have the rings that Jordan has. He's not Jordan. And the the way that Rodgers went about his press conference today, and he was quoted saying, I love the fans, I love the what, Aaron? What was that? Oh no, he didn't. He was going to say organization, but he's not happy with the organization. So there were a lot of things, and he was blunt. He addressed a lot of the things that he didn't like. He didn't like that he wasn't involved in some of these decisions. He didn't like that some of these players that he wanted to keep on the team and have his input. He wants to have a say in the Packers organization. Now, the fact that the Green Bay Packers are kind of like, oh, he's making suggestions. Oh, we make it ourselves. That's how we've always done it. That's how we always done it. And that's what the Packers are looking at. But let's be honest. Green Bay, this guy's been your franchise. This guy has been, better than anyone could have ever expected when he first started off. Yes, he's gotten you a Super Bowl. I think he should at least have some say in getting guys and whatnot, getting guys to come to Green Bay and stay in Green Bay for an extended period of time. Now, they just pretty much said, no, this is how we do things. This is Green Bay, yada, yada, yada. Now, I'm not saying Rodgers in the clear here now, too. But it's the constant complaining from Rodgers, the constant, the body language he always exhibits after every little minor thing that happens. And, he thinks that he's above everybody else. He thinks that, X, Y, and Z. The thing is he let this drag out when he could have easily just said what was on his mind at the beginning and said, look, I don't want to be here, yada, yada, yada. And he goes, the media's making this a big ordeal. No. You made this a big deal, Aaron Rodgers. You made this a big deal. All you've been doing this whole offseason is egging this on, poking the bear. And obviously, after the season, you've been sitting there and complaining like you've always done. That's all you do, okay? So Rodgers isn't in the clear here. But to answer your question, Voldy, I believe this will be the last season in Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers. It showed today at the press conference. He does not want to be here. He's only here for his teammates. I think he'll give it his all. But at the same time, Green Bay's got to understand, look, we got to give this guy a say. He's been great for us. He's been our whole freaking franchise for how many years now? But at the same time, Rodgers has got to stop being a little crybaby. So there's that. Yeah. Before I get to you, Voldy, as soon as Rodgers buys a controlling interest in the Packers, then fine. Until then, shut up and do what you're paid to do. Throw the ball. You can have that, outlook on it too, but it's one of those things where, he's been successful. And, the Packers kind of just sit there and just, let things happen too. So I don't know if you would tell him that, and then then all of a sudden it would be like cut me off, trade me immediately type of thing. But I think it's definitely come down to this is the last year. They're working out a deal right now. So to get him, or after the season, to get him out of Green Bay, and he can go do whatever he wants to, and then he can go cry somewhere else. So, right. Voldy, what do you think?
Look, I kind of look, Aaron Rodgers is coming in with the biggest I don't care about anything, I'm just here so I don't get fined attitude that there ever is right now. And look, he knows what he can do on and off the field. It's the fact that he's putting everybody through this right now. I find it absolutely hilarious because he's just going to go in there and be like, I don't care anymore. I'm going to win some games, and we end up winning, so be it. But if not, well, I'm going to take everybody down with me at this point. I think it's just very interesting because everything that happened this offseason from the point of kicking the field goal or going for the field goal in the championship game to now at this point with him showing up at training camp. Everything in between, and it's just absolutely hilarious to the point that this continues to be an ever-going saga to the point where I'm just waiting for somebody to start throwing some fists or something, somebody say something about somebody's mom to the point where it's just like, all right, something's going to happen here. And look, he's doing his part. He's out on the field right now. He doesn't care about anybody's feelings right now on the situation. And I mean, just depending on the way that, even looking at the way that he's looking right now, I mean, he's got the longer hair again. He's got, obviously he's always had the beard, and he's just going in there the way that he was probably in like 2007, 2008 or something like that, where he was at the beginning of his career and just, deer in the headlights type of situation. It'd be very interesting to see how it all goes out. I certainly think this is the last hurrah, even if we get to the regular season with all this drama going on with the Pack.
I mean, I'm loving it. And the thing is, the reason why I'm loving it is because, I mean, it's almost the beginning of the end. And some people are in denial that it's, the beginning and the end, and you know who you are. But I also said, too, listen, it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't go week 1. It doesn't surprise me if he doesn't go week 1. And it sounds like he will now. And, that's fine. We'll see what happens. But this whole thing is fine with me. Rodgers is not the franchise. The franchise has a long storied history. Many players are that are Rodgers equals. So no, he doesn't get to call the shots. Fire him, release him, whatever. Put someone in who has half the talent and 200% of the heart. ... Perfect. Well, here's what I'm. If without Rodgers, let's be honest, without Rodgers, this team would be terrible, absolutely terrible. And you can't tell me if you took Rodgers out of it, they wouldn't be making the playoffs. They would not be making the playoffs without Rodgers. Him being, behind center and whatnot, unless they trade for somebody or whatnot. But he's the face of the franchise, let's be honest. And yeah, I understand he doesn't make the decisions. I understand that he's a player and everything, and he should just, he should just keep his mouth shut and whatnot. But at the same time, this guy has been the face of your franchise, and you got to keep these players happy. But at the same time, yes, you might be the owners, but I believe that you should have some look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady said, "Bring me Antonio Brown, bring me Gronk." They won a Super Bowl, so there's that too. But I'm not saying that Rodgers should just be like, "Get me him." He would just want to say. It's not saying he's taking over and saying, "Look, you got to get this. I make the decisions around here." That's how I look at it. So, let's move on to the next one. Let's just go from there. All right, next one, Voldy.
Yeah, well, a little bit of more interesting controversy, if you want to put it that way. The Cleveland Baseball Club in Ohio, the Fighting to be named later or to be determined, finally came up with a name effective at the end of the 2021 season. All hail the Cleveland Guardians. That's right. The Cleveland Indians, since they came into the league 1915, are no more. The Cleveland Guardians will be the new name for the Cleveland Baseball Club at the start of the 2022 season, unveiling logos. And obviously, the story behind it is that it refers to the traffic guardians that flank both ends of the Hope Memorial Bridge, which connects downtown Cleveland to Ohio City as well. Hence the name, the Guardians as well, which is just on the other side of what is whatever field they play at. I think it's Progressive Field, or used to be Jacobs Field or something like that as well. Is it absurd or approved? The new name for the Cleveland Baseball Club and the choice in the Guardians.
Well, Voldy, I think I already know your response. I did see the socials medias this past week. The Guardians, the logo I'm not a fan of, I can tell you that much. The name, well, it didn't take them long if you compare it to the Washington football team. But it's I don't know. I think it could have been a little bit better. I'll say that. And I think this is the perfect way to put it. Victor said it. Another safe name. So there's that. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm like, okay, like, oh my gosh, the Guardians, the Cleveland Guardians. It kind of feels like wait, there's an XFL team named the Guardians, aren't there? So I'm not a huge fan of it, so I guess I'm going to kind of throw it as absurd. I think they kind of went with a safe bet, and it's not the sexiest name. I think you can put it as that. But I just, I'm not a huge fan of the name, but I don't know. I mean, Voldy, you probably have other suggestions, so what do you think?
I don't know about suggestions, but we already knew about the New York Guardians in the XFL. The Cleveland Guardians baseball team isn't even the only Cleveland Guardians in Cleveland. There's a roller derby team named the Guardians, for God's sake. You would think there would be at least one person in that front office that would have at least put down look around local groups, teams, organizations to at least say, let's not copy somebody. But apparently logic is not in the sense of the Cleveland Baseball Club organization. And for the name the Guardians, yeah, I think it's a great name for your single A or double A team. But for a Major League Baseball franchise be named the Guardians, I think it's completely absurd to begin with. The logo, it is very minor league, I'll say. It's definitely something along those lines for sure.
Now, I would, I'll say this too, and they weren't going to keep the name, obviously, and no. I think Ethan kind of likes that. It gives his stamp of approval, I should say. And I don't care what their name is, as long as it's not racist. Using Native people as a mascot is indefensible. And I think I'd agree with that too. Matt says the logo looks like a blend of Old Angles and with the Wing logo and the Dayton Flyers logo as well. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what the jerseys look like. Maybe it'll change your mind or something. I don't know, but I think that
I doubt it.
They could have been a little bit more creative. That's what I'll put it at. And you'd have to ask some of these Cleveland fans what they think of the name and whatnot. But yeah, I think that it could have been better, but they had to change it, right? So there's that. All right, next one, Voldy.
Also, too, just to wrap up quick on the last one. It's always funny too whenever Cleveland was on like those national baseball broadcasts or whatever. The announcers would still refer to them as the Indians, even though they haven't worn anything with the mascot on in a few years. And they said that they were going to change their name, but yet everybody's still calling them the Indians. But if Washington and the Redskins, now the Washington football team, everybody shut that down in a heartbeat in the first place, and everybody'd scold each other if they even mentioned, even they said red, I mean the football team to begin with as well. I just think that's interesting how it worked out that way with Cleveland as opposed to Washington and the football team as well. But yeah, we'll go on to the next one here.
Yeah, no, one more thing with Ethan. I think this brings it up perfectly. No doubt the name choice and logos could certainly be better, but it's a fail on the part of their marketing department. Well, doesn't harm, I mean, I just think it could have been better, is what we're saying. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, I think the college football world is going to implode on itself here in the coming years. University of Texas and Oklahoma University, not only did they not renew their media rights and grants with the Big 12 Conference, learning as of yesterday, that the Sooners and the Longhorns are formally requesting acceptance into the Southeastern Conference. So that sounds familiar. That's right. That's the big one, the SEC, looking to join the likes of, well, basically every team that wants to play Alabama at this point as well, to be members of the powerhouse of the Power 5 conferences as well. This would virtually implode the Big 12 to begin with, which was slowly getting into it as well with, when you start seeing teams like West Virginia getting into the Big 12, TCU as well, before they joined the Big 12 at a handful of years ago. Now, is it absurd or approved? If Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC, which is even more crazy to think about, will this be the end of college football conferences altogether, or is this going to open the door for, say, maybe like the Big Ten or like the ACC to open up avenues to maybe bring in, say, hey, West Virginia, why don't you come play in the Big Ten, or things of that sort? What's that's going to do for college football, basically?
It's like all of a sudden it's just we're just jamming teams into these big conferences, right? And it's like, it was nice having all these different these different conferences, and yes, the SEC kind of has a bulk of it, but the Big Ten kind of has their own thing, and obviously we have our thoughts on the Big Ten, not most of it nice, but the Big Ten. I feel like the Big 12 is one of those, and there's been teams that have left too, which we understand, but here's one thing they have to keep in mind. There's a possibility that they could leave early, but they'd have to pay the $75 to $80 million penalty for leaving early, while also giving required 18 months notice by the Big 12 bylaws. So I don't know. It's kind of, you try to put it into one big conference, and the Big 12 could all of a sudden implode. Now it's just like, okay, now all these other teams are moving on to the SEC, the Big Ten, and like you said, West Virginia, another thing too. It's frustrating to an extent about how this has gone about, and I think there's someone disappointed about it too. The Big 12 Conference, although our 8 members are disappointed with the decisions of these two institutions, we recognize that intercollegiate athletics is experiencing rapid change and most likely to look much different in 2025 than it does currently, said Commissioner Bob Bowlesby. But I don't know. I just feel like if we're going to do all these like super conferences and whatnot, it's just going to be hectic, and I just feel like if you keep it the way it is, I don't know. I just think it's weird. But anyway, I feel like our zoners are really chiming in. We need to get to it. This kind of goes back to our last. This goes to our last story. It's Chief Wahoo, the mascot. That's mostly the problem. Washington Redskins is another issue altogether, and it goes to the issue of the historic precedent around the name Redskins. I will be happy to educate anyone who wants more information offline. I'm with you. I think I definitely understand. Big 12 will be dissolved, I feel, but I will say my opinion on all these conferences is the same as the NBA. Super teams, dumb. I agree. Whoa, we got breaking news apparently. Is this legit? Breaking news, wild sign. Oh, for a second I thought it said Kaprizov. Kulikov. Hope they didn't give more than a bag of pucks for that guy. Victor says 2 years, 4.5 mil.
All right, cool.
I think from what
third,
I understand.
fourth line guy. I don't know which Kulikov. There's been a few that have come.
I want to see the Kaprizov one. That's what I'm looking for. No, let's see. It's funny. Texas wants to leave after they got the Big 12 commissioner to ban the horns down gesture. Yeah, that's a good point. Garbage, pay for him. I don't know who he's talking. Yeah. Total legit per NHL trade wire. No, I was just making sure. I mean, we're trying to do a show here. No, but Voldy, what do you think of this?
Look, if you just want to keep putting all these teams into super conferences, let's just put an end to it already.
Yeah,
it's getting ridiculous. Just have the teams put together their own schedule,
right?
Get the conferences and just give the conference trophy. Like, just base it off records altogether. Let's see Alabama play USC week 2 of the season. Let's see Notre Dame play Texas week 4 as well. Let's not worry about conferences anymore. It's not like it matters anyway. We all know Alabama's going to be playing in the national championship. It may be Ohio State. It'll probably be Clemson. The other team will be, let's say, Oklahoma. Well, let's just throw that out there as well. Doesn't matter anyway. People who have got their money invested in their teams are going to get the answers that they want, especially at the end of the year. I mean, Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC, it's not going to be that much of a difference. If anything, it's going to be very reminiscent of the old Big 8 conference as well when they were playing like Arkansas and some of those other teams too. But, Alabama versus the likes of Oklahoma in the middle of the regular season would be great. It certainly hurt their, national championship or the college football playoff scenarios as well if they end up playing each other week 3 or 4 in the regular season and they got another 5 games to go before they even think about the playoffs altogether. I'm just sick and tired of this happening as well because I thought it was ridiculous when the latest, the last time this happened, you saw Nebraska go to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Colorado went to the Pac-12, and Texas A&M, Missouri went to the SEC. Those teams haven't really done much altogether as well. Obviously, we know that Texas A&M had a fantastic year in 2012 with Mr. John Football to begin with. Missouri, a couple cups of coffee, made the SEC title game, but never really done much since then as well. But I think the conference thing and the super conferences, it's getting out of hand because let's keep talking about how the Big Ten has 12 teams. It's ridiculous. And the Big 12 has only 10 teams to begin with. So, again, math, college football, not exactly their strong suits altogether. Completely absurd.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I just feel like all of a sudden we're just not going to have any conferences and just, okay, you're in this little division here. Just have what I don't get it. I honestly don't get it, but I guess not until 2025 unless they want to pay that penalty, and that's a pretty steep number right there, 75 to 80 million. So anyway, last one, Voldy.
Well, we all know that obviously started training camp happened on Tuesday with activity starting today, believe it or not, for a lot of teams as well. One situation that has been pretty quiet but is definitely one to keep our eye on this training camp is the deal down in Houston with quarterback Deshaun Watson, his off the field issues this offseason, and obviously reports of him wanting to be traded before the start of the year. And, well, here we are in training camp. Nothing as of late as well. The Texans' price for Deshaun Watson as well. Combination of high draft picks and high caliber players, basically trying to sell out the team before they even hit the field as well. A lot of extenuating circumstances that go into even thinking about trading for Deshaun Watson, whether you're a team that wants to do it or if you're Houston wanting to start fresh. But is it absurd or approved, DJ Matty C, that Deshaun Watson will be the starting quarterback for the Houston Texans come week 1 of the NFL season?
Absurd. The reason why I say absurd is because I think the writing's on the wall already with Deshaun Watson. The Texans are going to trade him. I think, I'm going to go out on a limb. I think he's going to be traded. To who? I don't know. Here's the interesting thing here with the situation is what is going on with the legal stuff. Because there's been many there's been many women that have come out and called him 23 civil lawsuits, and it's not looking good on that end. But then again, who's going to want to take that chance and say, okay, well, we got to know like what you're doing here, I mean. The legal stuff, like what's going on, because, they're going to try and figure this out. Teams aren't going to want to touch him unless there's something, unless he's, cleared of all this. But according to his personal QB coach, I'm 100% sure he'll be traded at some point in the coming future, he said on the Adam Schefter podcast. I think the Texans have made the decision to move on. He doesn't want to be there, clearly. They're ready to move on. All they're waiting for is fair market value for him, and they'll get a lot. Now, watching a little bit of Deshaun Watson, they went to the ESPN went to their training camp. He wasn't with the first teamers at all. It was Tyrod Taylor, not Tyrod, Tyrod Taylor.
Oh God.
So, he went to camp to not get fined. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Because he would have been fined, $50K or something like that? Yeah, 50,000 per day now. So that's,
he needs all that money for those legal fees now.
Yeah. So he goes to camp for that. But I think he's going to be traded. I don't know which team is going to give up an arm and a leg to get him on their squad. Right. But there's a lot that needs to happen. So, yeah, I think it's absurd. I don't think he's going to be starting for the Texans week 1. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't see this as a good situation for anybody, especially for him, and for Houston and the Texans, because if they're going to go into the season too, I mean, if they've got a capable enough backup with Tyrod Taylor, who had a starting job at the beginning of last season, and then next thing you know, he's got a punctured lung due to a crackpot for an athletic trainer when he had cracked a rib. I mean, we would have never had, Justin Herbert. Then again, we wouldn't have been robbed the chance to have the NFL Rookie of the Year in Justin Jefferson in the first place. Different story altogether. Getting back to the main point, I don't see Deshaun Watson starting for the Houston Texans. There's a lot that goes into this as well. We don't know if the legal situation is going to play out ramification-wise. And there's just probably so many off-the-field issues that play into this decision. And if he can play, obviously he can play. It's just that, obviously very similar to what's going on in Bay, to the point where it may do more harm than good to have him out on the field in the first place, not only for the team itself, but also for how it's going to play for the Texans overall. So it's completely absurd.
Yeah, and I think the Texans, even if, like I said, if he's traded, I feel like they're going to be last in the division, in their own division. But what team's going to take that chance and say, look, maybe this can get solved, maybe not. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird predicament. I mean, it's very very interesting, because if he didn't have this legal thing with all this this sexual abuse and everything like that, then he'd probably be traded already. But at this point, teams are like, he's got to figure out those civil lawsuits first. So we'll see. But I like you said, like I said, I don't think he's starting week 1 for the Texans. So I think he'll be traded. We'll see. All right. Great job as always with ARA's Voldy. Now it is time for Shield shoutouts. We've got a lot of shoutouts to get to, so let's get it going. What's up? Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who you shouting out tonight?
Well, we do have a couple of interesting Shield shoutouts, including of which we do want to wish the best of luck to Nelson Cruz, of course, as he was traded to Tampa Bay last week. And, well, he made an impact right away, hit a home run in his first game with the Rays as well. But the boomstick will be missed with Twins fans and also in Twins territory. That did give the Twins, especially in a very transitionary period, a weird time for the Twins, a little bit of legitimacy when he was with the Twins as well. So Nelson Cruz will sorely be missed in a Twins uniform, but he'll definitely be making his way back here to Twins territory. I think in August, Tampa Bay comes to town, so hopefully we'll be able to see him play as well. But I do want to wish congratulations as well to former SMSU baseball teammate, defensive stalwart behind the plate, and flexiest man alive, Tanner Neal, as he was announced as a assistant coach at North Dakota State University. He helped out with the team last year as a voluntary assistant coach with the Bison as they recorded a school record 42 wins, won the Summit League, and also made the national tournament this year for the Bison as well. Congratulations, Tanner. Best of luck. A lot of hard work, especially when he was an athlete and now in the coaching realm as well. Nothing but the best of luck for him and going for the Bison into next season. Unfortunately, here at MinneZona Sports Live, we do want to send our condolences, thoughts, and prayers to the family, to the Motzko family as well. Gopher men's hockey coach and the Motzko family did lose one of their own over the weekend. Coach Motzko's son, Mac Motzko, who was a fantastic player out of St. Cloud Cathedral High School in his time as well, and did play a little bit of juniors in his hockey career as well. Unfortunately, passed away and taken too soon from the world as well. We do send our condolences to the Motzko family at this time. We do want to send some Shield shout-outs. Obviously, a lot going on in the world of sports, especially in the Olympics, so we're going to break it down to you and some Shield shout-outs for some of those Olympic winners of significant note as well. For Team USA, first Taekwondo medal was awarded for the women in gold to Florida's own Anastasia Zolotic. Did win a gold medal for Team USA. And also the U.S. men's 4x100 freestyle team, including former Golden Gopher Bowen Becker, was a part of that team. So Shield shout out to the men's freestyle 4x100 meter relay team. 2 Minnesotans were represented out of the 5 that qualified for the U.S. women's gymnastics team that did win silver in the team competition. Sunny Lee and Grace McCallum as well. Shield shout out to those athletes as well. Congratulations on the finish. Team USA's Lydia Jacoby, who did win gold in the women's 100-meter breaststroke, the first Alaskan swimmer to win Olympic gold. Team USA's women's 3-on-3 basketball team did capture gold in the sport's debut in the Olympics.
Great catch, homie.
You know what, Matt, do you remember what you were doing at 13 years old?
Probably playing wiffle ball or something. I don't know.
Well, you probably weren't winning a gold medal because a pair of 13-year-olds did win high medals in the street skateboarding competition.
I did see that.
13-year-old Momiji Nishihaya and also Nishihaya, of Japan, Brazil's Reisa Leal won gold and silver in street skateboarding in the debut for the event in the Olympics in Tokyo. And also a Shield shout out to the Philippines, Hidalyn Diaz, who won gold in the women's 55-kilogram weightlifting event, the country's first gold medal in 97 years.
Wow.
As they did snap that streak. That's going to do it for Shield shout-outs this week.
Hey, we'll take it. I mean, that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And hopefully they'll be I hope that they're going to be able to finish the Olympics and whatnot. And obviously with the cases and whatnot in Tokyo, no fans and whatnot. But I think it's been somewhat successful, obviously, with Simone Biles and everything going on with that. And we wish her the best with mental health and whatnot. But yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard being an Olympic athlete and whatnot. So
yeah.
We can touch on that another time. But as always, Voldy, great job with Shield shoutouts. A couple comments too that I want to bring up. I brought it up, but brought it up while you were talking. But Russell Cruz makes me sad. It makes me sad too. He's a class act.
Yeah,
I will miss him. I will miss him too. But again, it's the Twins, right? And then he said, "Good on you, Voldy, for the Motzkos." Absolutely. My heart sank when I heard that news too. So, sad. But anyway, great job with Shield shoutouts, Voldy. And we're not done yet because also we got some people. Buying things. Yeah. Yes, I got some people to get some of these awesome shirts. $20.
Yes,
$5 shipping. Guys, they're 5 out of 5 stars. If you want some, we got some. We'll give them to you. They're great. And not only that, but if you're like, well, maybe I kind of want something else. Well, we got stickers for you. We got stickers. $2 for the small ones. $3 for the big ones. Maybe we do a giveaway next week. I think some zoners need some stickers, so we'll get them to you.
Incentive.
Yeah, incentive, exactly. So anyway, thanks to National Fleet Graphics as well. Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson, for getting us those stickers. And not only that, but check out W2 Performance, the Barbell Nerds. Will Rattel, our guy, is killing it. New videos, Launch 1.0. Make sure you check that out as well. He's dunking on people. I mean, he's got hops. Rattel's got hops. And also, they've got stickers. $2 for these bad boys, the Barbell Nerds. Got it onto my Viking Cup here and whatnot. So check out W2 Performance, Barbell Nerds. Jack O'Keefe, Jack's Junkyard, now with Apparel. Make sure you check out his stuff. He's doing TikToks. He's got Apparel. Make sure you check it out. And then Breaking Into the League podcast, they have a new episode out. San Gabrielli, Ryan Martin, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Make sure to check those guys out. They're awesome, absolutely fantastic. So, anyway, at Voldy, we made it. We made it through. No issues, no internet going down. We made it through. Olympics are amazing. Good job, Voldy, as Ethan has said. And again, we'll keep in tune. Hopefully the men's basketball team will figure it out. I hope. Well, one would hope.
I hope.
We'll see what happens. But anyway, a great episode 73. Zoners, thank you for tuning in this week. We're going to have a lot more content, and maybe we have some other people coming on too. There's I don't know who, but actually I do, but I just I want to keep it a surprise. But anyway, we'll keep you guys informed and whatnot, and keep you up to date on things going on around Minnesota, and obviously some other things as well. So anyway, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.